Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable, where black critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. And man, I missed it. I miss my people. It's been 2 weeks, but that's because we had holidays. We were trying to enjoy ourselves for the holiday. But don't think for a moment the film critics take a holiday, we were watching movies. You know we were watching movies. We were still working. We just didn't get together to talk. Now I'm hoping that my colleagues had a really good time and had a couple of days off to enjoy themselves. But since we're talking about the holidays, I want to tell you something. This is my little critic for a minute. I can't get into Christmas until after Thanksgiving. I know Hallmark. I know all these other stations, BET, they showing Christmas movies, but I can't do it until after Thanksgiving. So now, before then, I was a Grinch, I was Scrooge, but right now, I'm like one of Santa's little helpers, cause I am good to go. I am good to go, y'all. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? So let
Ready.
me just introduce my friend Katia Woods is here again. Hey, Katia.
Hey, I went the direct opposite. I feel like Thanksgiving is away and I shoot straight for Christmas. I have two trees up with the outside lights. It is happy holidays and Christmas music. I feel like this year I am allowed to be that girl because 2020 has sucked. So I get to have Christmas early. I'm happy to be here. I have my own site called couplesouls.com and I've written for other publications. But happy holidays, and I hope everybody had a good one.
All right. Well, of course, introduce my friend Sean Edwards. Hey, Sean, good to see you again.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Hope your Thanksgiving was well.
It was. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I'd like to introduce myself, Sean Edwards, Fox 4 News, Kansas City, and I just want to say happy birthday, Sean Carter.
It
Oh,
is. It's Jay Z's birthday.
and and and,
Yay!
and we talked about this before. You gonna spit some bars, Mr. Edwards?
On Tuesday.
When
Tuesday.
you
Tuesday.
brush your shoulders off.
and, and,
Tuesday.
We gonna
and I
On
brush
know
their
Tuesday.
shoulders off.
I know
On
we talk
Tuesday.
about movies, but who's the greatest rapper of all time?
Jay-Z. Easy. Not
Wow.
really. I mean, that's a different discussion. I'm a big fan. I don't know if he's the greatest of all time, but I'm a big fan. I
There we
gotta keep it
go.
real. I gotta keep it real. I don't know if he's the greatest of all time, but he's the dopest entrepreneur of my generation, though.
There you go. All right, and now welcoming for the second time to the table is Jonita Davis. Jonita, welcome to the Real Critic Roundtable.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Um, I'm Jonita Davis. I write for the Black Cape magazine at theblackcape.com. And I just love these roundtables. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent. All right, so we're gonna get right into it, and the first group of movies. This is what I thought. I thought I'd talk about this first group of movies, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm actually gonna talk about Mank first. I know, Jonita, you didn't get to see Mank, but I'm gonna talk about Mank first, and that is
Why?
because the reason I'm gonna talk about it first is because my friend Sean Edwards, for 3 weeks in a row, kept putting Mank on the list. He
Well, it
kept
had that
saying,
weird release. It had that weird release platform, so I didn't know when we needed to talk about it.
he kept saying, let's talk about Mank. So, Sean, tell me, what is Mank about? Let's talk about Mank.
Well, Mank's the story of the screenwriter who wrote Citizen Kane, Herman J. Mankiewicz. A lot of people, not me, let me preface that, consider Citizen Kane one of the greatest movies of all time, directed by Orson Welles. So it's directed by David Fincher, who I actually list as a GOAT level director. When you talk about greatest of all time, he's one of my favorite directors. I mean, Social Network's one of my all-time favorite movies. I love Zodiac. I mean, the list goes on and on. So he directed Mank. Was screenplay was written is accredited to his dad, his father, Jack Fincher. Although I think he dabbled on it a little bit, but he gave sole credit to his dad. It's one of those movies about a movie. It's a movie about the filmmaking process. It's a movie about Hollywood, how Hollywood loves Hollywood. It's a throwback. The cinematography is in black and white, and all the below the line stuff. The craftsmanship is like top tier. It's the story that left me feeling a bit cold. I never connected. The more I watched, the more I needed a telescope to finish because it just pushed me further and further away.
So that's really interesting, Sean. Is that this was one when you put on a list, you say, "Hey, man, I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This is Hollywood being self-indulgent, talking about themselves, looking at themselves, loving themselves, in my opinion." But what I will say is that you talk about the below the line stuff. It was more interesting than I went into thinking it was. This is not a film that I think a lot of people are going to run out and go and check it out. But it was more interesting. But what bothered me about the film was the jumping back and forth to the flashbacks. Is that I got a little bit confused. I was like, who is who? Where does what? I think that other films have done a better job doing flashbacks, and this time I think Fincher didn't do a great job on the flashbacks. What
No,
say
I agree
you?
with that. I agree with that.
I think this is a perfect example of a movie that's technically sound, that it is beautifully shot. It will win a lot of technical awards. But because it's so technical, the story became very flat. We were not engaging with these characters. We were not dripped in. It was definitely one of those things. I couldn't sit through it in one. Like, I kind of paused it, walked away from a little bit, and then came back to it, which rarely happens for me in movies. And I think that's a problem. You have to make a complete film. You can't just focus on it looking great. Everybody looks amazing. Everything is really crisp and clean, but we don't really care about these people. At least I didn't. I didn't want to know more about these folks. And we're talking about, especially now when there are so many different options, and you want us to commit to this. Why?
Yeah,
You got to give me a reason other than, especially to tell the public that it's beautifully shot.
Sean, I know you said your little piece, but I do want to know, what did you think about the acting in this one? Because I thought that Oldman was really good, but I also thought that the women, being Amanda and Lily, I thought that they added some value here.
They were good. I mean, there are a lot of people screaming from the rafters that they should like be nominated and win Oscars. I didn't think they were that good. I've seen a lot of other performances that were better. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is probably the best Amanda Seyfried's ever been, but I'm not trying to hand her no golden trophy for it. I mean, it was okay. I mean, Gary Oldman, the acting was okay. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't mind blowing. It wasn't anything next level. I mean, it surely wasn't as over the top as anything in Hillbilly Elegy, but I mean, it was okay.
All right.
It's average.
But with that, we won't spend too much time on it. But for me, the person who went into it saying not to watch it, this is a mild watch it for me. I'd watch it. What say you, Sean?
I could take it. I could take it or leave it. I mean, I understand why a lot of our colleagues are jumping up and down about it, but I mean, on a personal level, I just wasn't entertained and I just didn't care. I mean, if I never saw this movie again, I'm not losing any sleep.
I think that's a good point. What say you, Katya?
If you're into films that are beautifully shot, but don't offer you much, go for it. And, or if you have nothing else to do and you went through all the other content, go for
Which
it.
is impossible.
All right. Well,
That's why I said it.
with that, we're
I mean,
gonna move over.
I just don't like film. It's just, and it was, it's just showy for the sake of showy. Like,
It is, and I really do want to move on, but you making me have to say this is that the reason I mentioned the women in the film is that if they didn't have them, it would have just been some white dudes in Hollywood, and I
But
think
they're playing pretty.
yeah, I mean,
no, they were playing pretty, but I think that they had a little bit more depth to them than just playing pretty, and at least I got that. So it is what it is. You're like no, I'm like maybe. All right, moving on. So now we're going to talk about, and Katya, I'm going to have you introduce both Mangrove as well as Red, White, and Blue, two films from the anthology from Steve McQueen. So talk about the anthology and these two films, please.
Well, Mangrove is about the Mangrove Nine, which is a restaurant that was a gathering place in Nottingham Hill, not Julia Roberts Nottingham, the black portion of Notting Hill, and in London, in
The
England.
Compton version.
Yeah, yeah, because people be like, black people were living not even
Yeah,
on the film. It was Lily White. No, the black side.
the black
And
side.
it was just it was a restaurant, a gathering place, just a place for Trinidadians, because we have to be specific. It's not general Caribbean people. These people were of Trinidadian descent, and they just were submitted to incredible police harassment, very similar to stuff that's going on this side of the aisle. You know what I mean? And so they went to trial, and they fought back. You learn about the different activists that were involved, and some of them became involuntary activists. Now, Red, White, and Blue is about the first Black police officers that joins the Metropolitan Police Force, which is the police force in the United Kingdom, and specifically England, and what he went to integrate the department, and the lack of support that he got. He even rose up to the ranks of superintendent. He wrote a book about it. And again, we understand what is going on in this film, because this is literally what Black Lives Matter is all about. Those two films. What Steve McQueen has done with these 5 films, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to keep saying, Black people are global. Our suffering is worldwide, and it's so important for us to see stories told by people of that background about what's going on in their country. He is a child of immigrants, so all of this is not foreign to him. This feels very natural. It's beautifully shot. In Mangrove, Letitia Wright gives an out of this world performance. Sean Parks is really, really good. There's a scene in there that I don't want to give it away, but as a mom, it just drives you to tears, just as a Black woman, because you totally understood where she was coming from.
Yes.
John Boyega is a really good actor. He's been a good actor, but this is a vehicle in Red, White, and Blue that shows off why that statement is valid. He had meat in this role. He had range in this role. And again, I am a firm believer that, we need to hear from our brothers and sisters in different parts of the world. It's beautiful to see. This has been a beautiful year to get international voices about the Black experience.
No, it really is, and because you say different voices, it's really great to have Jonita joining us. And Jonita, you saw both of these. Katia really gives it a lot of praise. How did you think about these two?
I really liked them as well. And I think they're, as she said, they're really important. We think that here in America that we're kind of isolated in our problems. A lot of people kind of get wrapped up in what's going on right now. And it looks like it's just us. But I mean, and we sometimes get comments, on social media from people all over the world acting like it's just us. When, you've got this history in Britain that I learned through interviews with Sean Parks that they weren't taught in school or anywhere else. And if you weren't related to someone that's from that area, that's from that community, you didn't know much about the Mangrove Nine, other than what history has recorded, which is not much. So this is not only stuff that, we from here, America, we need to, kind of watch. I think it truly is a must watch for everybody. But I think that over there, people all over the British, that country, they need to watch this, because this is a part of their history that I don't think a lot of them even know.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, John Boyega was, I think that this is like one of the times where you really saw him just kind of let loose. He wasn't just a superhero and just had to, flex a couple muscles and say a couple keywords and he was, good. He actually had to put something out there, and I think he delivered. And Mangrove was very, very interesting. I mean, even the court scenes, they were not boring. They were not the rote, court scenes that you see everywhere all the time. There's like one scene with Letitia Wright that that I really, really loved in court. People can, you know, watch.
Oh, you put your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, my gesturing, but yeah, I agree. I really, really love this one.
So what's really interesting is that oh, in watching this, you guys are mentioning some of the scenes that I liked, but I liked all the scenes, and I'll speak in a sec. But Sean, I think that Steve McQueen did something really important here with these 5 films. I know we're only talking about 2 of
Oh,
them. What do you
well,
think?
yeah, I'm about to go. I'm about to go into James Brown mode because I'm mad. Because how my dude just prove his genius at such a excellent level? Like he just dumped 5 incredible movies on us. I can't handle that. He dumped 5 movies on us, and as a film critic during award season, what are we supposed to do? Like, are these eligible for the Oscars? Are these eligible for the Emmys? Like, how can we give John Boyega love in the Best Actor category, Letitia White Best Actress category? Like, Steve McQueen outdid himself almost to its own detriment because what do we do with these 5 movies? Like, I can't put all 5 of these movies on my top 10 list, but I could be justified in doing so because we haven't even talked about the best of the 5, which is Lovers Rock.
Oh,
Like, so
Yep.
it's like, I mean, it's a overabundance of genius, which you have to stand up and salute Steve McQueen for. Um, I love the fact that these movies have a global appeal. I like the fact that he's given us some British Black history. I like the fact that his filmmaking approach was simple and accessible, but still at a genius level. Like none of the movies are showy. He doesn't go into any of these I'm a cool filmmaker mode. He tells the story uniquely and distinctly and efficiently to where you can digest the information no matter what your background, no matter what your perspective. These are human stories. These are universal stories. They're well done. They're well told. But what am I supposed to do with these 5 movies? Damn,
So this is what you're supposed to do. You're
damn.
supposed to talk about these movies like this. I am so interested that you would say Lovers Rock is like the joint of all of them because I think when you look at what Steve did here, everybody talks about 12 Years a Slave. These things, to me, take his stuff to a certain, a higher level. So when you talk about genius, I actually was the opposite of you. I wasn't mad. I was like, dang.
I was just
Oh my goodness.
but I mean I don't think we're really really praising this enough. This dude just delivered 5 movies. These are
Katya?
5 movies.
Let me just say this. I'm so glad you said that. The conversation right now, not coming from people that look like us, is this a film? Is this a TV? Number one, is not my place to tell a creative what he made. He was very clear in his New York Film Festival interview. He made 5 films. He didn't make a limited series. He didn't make a TV movie. So it is really arrogant when the trades say it's a limited series. You didn't make this thing. He did. Mind your business. Your job is to say whether you think it's good or not and to talk about the performances. You are not the creative. You are half stepping and you out of order. And I think that is.
Well, Amazon didn't help. Amazon didn't help.
But obviously, I agree with you on that one. But I also feel like it's an audacity because he is Black. Because if Martin Scorsese sat there and told you he gave you 5 films, you would have ate that for breakfast and kept it moving. And you would have submitted it and it would have been end of discussion. I don't know what it is with certain people in our industry that think they have a right to tell Black creatives or minority creatives, period, what their work is and how it should be submitted. But that's an arrogance that needs to be nipped in the bud. And I'm not having this conversation with people. And he's doing another Q&A, and I hope he stands up and he tells these people to kick rocks and say, I made 5 films. Now, here's the other confusion. I'm going to go along with what Sean said. Amazon is not helping the thing. When you're getting an FYC, they're telling you whatever you want to fit it into. No, back up your director, back up your artist that's telling you that it's 5 films.
I've never seen such
I
foolish.
gotta hear what Sean has to say about that. But
No,
go
I
ahead.
agree. No, I agree. I'm just reiterating. That was, I mean, and I know we're starting to get into a conversation that's going to be above maybe a lot of people that are watching when we talk about awards and FYC and all of that. But yeah, to receive an email and the studio that releases these 5 films tells you to categorize them however you see fit. I mean, come on, like what the hell was that?
That's not my job. My job is to say whether it's good or bad. Like that's
Right.
it.
What the
Do I
hell
think
was
there's
that?
awards worthy? Like that's not what I do. And Jonita, definitely I don't want to cut you off, but the thing that really pisses me off is I'm like, we as a community need to rally around our creatives. We're getting the same we need to do a better job as a community to say, you know what, and stand and push back. It is not your job. I used to cover music. I tell artists all the time, right? If you tell me this is the kind of album you made, okay, I'm gonna take your word in it. Now my job is to say whether or not you succeeded at achieving that goal, but I'm not going to, I was in the studio with you. I'm not a producer. That's not what I do. So I don't understand why these people think they're trying to be cute and they think they're smarter than they are.
5 amazing movies.
I don't think they're trying to be cute, by the way, but go ahead, Jonita, jump in.
I think it's no. I was just saying it's a cop out. I think with Amazon, they're for some reason they're letting these critics say whatever. It's like they're afraid of them. I don't know what's happening. And then the critics, I agree with you. It needs to be nipped in the. They need to stop because it's overshadowing the conversation we need to be having about the films. Nobody's talking about the performances. Nobody's talking about the substance of the films. They're talking about how do we. I mean, why are we stuck on that? Why are we stuck on that?
Because that's them. That's what they do every award season. Just like Sean said it perfectly, right? They're trying to convince us that these mediocre performances, we know that our mediocre performances, because they're in these movies that where the studio has the marketing to say, because they can send you the gifts or whatever the hell else goes along with it. They're trying to tell you these movies and these performances are good when there are way better performances like Stephen Yen and Minari, Ahmed and Sound of Metal, but the money isn't behind that. So you're trying to sell us
Nicole
a $5
Beharie.
box meal as caviar and Nicole Beharie.
Mm-hmm.
Like who is Nicole Beharie other than us?
So are they influencers or critics? I mean, that's what that's what it comes down to.
Right, but these performances, it's so interesting, and maybe it's because I could identify as an American about all the stuff that they talked about in all 5 of them, and it felt so. It felt like they all touched me, and I do want to get to Love Is Rock at another time because I think it just deserves its own discussion.
Definitely agree with you.
But Mangrove touched me in such a way that when you talk about the history and then you see what they were fighting for, and to learn that the Black Panthers were there as well in England fighting. Then when you talk about this Boyega's performance, they touch on everything that we're talking about today. Am I black or blue first, or am I both? How do I reconcile that? How do I reconcile that with my community? How do I work? How do I change the system if I'm outside the system? So I'm gonna go in the system to change the complaint. I mean, all these issues and stuff but the way he did it, Sean, it's so interesting that you would say that he didn't do it with fanfare because he didn't bring some tricks and gadgets. There's no tricks and gadgets. This looks like real life to me, and it felt like real life. This stuff is must watch. I know we could talk about it forever. If both of y'all, all 3 of you guys want to make a final comment on it, go ahead, please.
I just want to say one thing. The courtroom scenes in Mangrove are better than Chicago, the trial of the Chicago 7. Because you know what? True. I didn't feel like I felt like I was a part of that. I felt like they reached out and brought me into the situation. And I was sitting at the edge of my seat, even though some people already knew the outcome of it because it is a real story, but I still was invested. I was like, damn, like, come on now. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you were like we seriously are doing this. And again, to revert back to what Letitia said, what Jonita said about certain scenes with Letitia, especially involving that are riveting. Like she really gets you.
Yeah. Any final comment, Jonita and Sean?
No, just good stuff. I mean, I highly recommend you take the time to watch all 5. I know that's a big commitment. That's 10 hours of viewing. Just it's not going anywhere. It's on Amazon, so it'll be there for a while. But just take the time, and I think you have to do yourself a favor and watch all 5.
Jonita.
Yeah, I agreed. I think that this is a must watch. Amazon is not really pushing it out there as much. The critics are, are become influencers in this area. So they're not really giving much out there. So I think it's up to us to, and for the viewers to decide for themselves, take the time, like Sean said, and watch it.
Cool. So I felt like I was out in Nomadland just now, talking about how great this stuff was, because seemed like we were out here by ourselves saying that stuff is great. But speaking of Nomadland, I want you, Jonita, if you could kind of tell us what this one's about.
Okay, so No Man's Land, it's about this this woman who she ends up losing her job and ends up finding this community of people who kind of bring her in. They're, unhoused people, and they kind of just, it's a whole community. And this film, it kind of dives into this community and really, kind of opens up to, yes, on the outside, they look like, just a group of homeless, nomads, going from place to place, but inside of it, they are really bonded people. They have their own system of of governing and doing things. Everyone loved this film, and I didn't. So I just leave it at that.
Well, you don't have to say that. Speak. I don't say everyone.
Not everyone. Well, I mean,
that's okay.
It was the status quo. The status quo.
So you did not like it because?
Yeah, tell us why.
I didn't like it because it was dry. It was. Yes. It was this really intense look at this woman and her life and what was going on in this community. But, and what else? I mean, I just thought that there needed to be something more.
It didn't grab you.
No, it didn't. It didn't. I mean, and I heard so many fellow critics talking about it, and I watched it, and I just didn't see what they found about it.
It seems like I might be in the minority here, because I was one of those who was like, I like Francis. I
like Francis too.
But Reggie, hold on. Here's the thing. I what's the director's name? It's
Chloe Chow. Chloe.
Yeah. She did, like, I love the setup. I love the execution. I love watching a movie like this where it blurs the line between, I thought I was watching a feature, and it felt like I was watching a documentary, and it flipped back to I felt like I was watching a feature. And I like the issue she was making. It's the most, depressing road trip movie ever made. The problem with the film is Frances McDormand. If it was no name, because I kept seeing her, and I know who she is, and everybody else. They were actually like real life people in this film, and it felt so real and authentic until you get to her. Like, if they asked just a regular unknown, she didn't do. She ruined for me. It's just me.
Yeah.
Ruined the illusion of this fantastic film.
And I love that you say that, because it was the opposite for me. I was thinking all these real people. She felt real to me. That her emotions, her words, her looks. I was like, this woman looks down and out. She looks like she could be one of these people.
Yeah, and I didn't say it was a bad performance. I just said the fact that it was her ruined the illusion. She went for it. It's a great performance, and she went for it, and she executed it. But the illusion of her, it took me out of it.
Katya, because I'm really curious, Katya.
I love this movie. I love this director. She's on my list of people I want to interview. It blows my mind how a woman that was born in Beijing, China, understands Red State America better than the people who are selling us Red State America.
Well, that's true.
Like, I want to pick her brain. I want to know, where is she getting this from? She wrote, directed, and edited this film. She has tuned in to a world that I didn't know existed. That made me want to Google and find out more about this type of living, this type of it's a whole freaking community. Like, there's a Time article and everything about it, right? But I am so utterly impressed with her as a filmmaker that is telling. I feel like she took a road trip across, in my mind, I'm saying this to justify this beauty. She took a road trip in her car off roads across America and just started milking in people and small diners and all of that. These are like the stories of people that we see, but we don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that Frances was a part of that. Frances McDormand is an incredible actress. We talk about Meryl Streep a lot, but we don't talk enough about Frances.
I agree
Frances can play freaking anything. And she's a woman that's very comfortable in her skin. She embraces getting older. And also she don't take no mess. So I really like women like that. And I just thought it was so important because when we talk about working class America, she gave a face to that. The people have done the right things, but because of circumstances in their lives, medical bills, this, that, it kind of dominoed to push you into living like this. This woman is an educated woman. That scene in the employment office, I wanted to pummel the woman on the other side of the desk. I was like, girl, if you don't shut up and try to help this woman. But it's just it is a slow burn. I agree with Jonita. It's going to lose a lot of people. It is a film for film lovers. It's a film for people who appreciate patience. What's going on. And you got to have patience. But I love this film. And I give Chloe I cannot wait until what she did with the externals. Give her all the money. And again, she is on my list. I just want to have that hour conversation with her on how she just looks at America because she's tuned into something here.
It's really interesting because go ahead, Jonita.
I didn't get the Q&A with the director and I didn't know the background.
No, I don't know either. But I'm saying to you, that's what I'm in.
That does add a layer to it. It does add another layer to it.
The thing about it is, it's just like I said, we hear people constantly saying they're making art for a certain part of people. And when I'm looking at it, I'm going like, no, this is propaganda. It doesn't feel like propaganda. It feels like she is sitting back and a fly on the wall on this part of America.
I totally agree. I felt like that it really gave me a slice of those people and showed me that life. But we got to move on to our next film. So I think it's a watch it, and it's a no, but that's all right. Last movie, I'm going to bring this one in. I told you I'm ready for the holiday movies. And let me just say something to y'all. I am so happy that Katya said, watch Dear Santa. I'm like, dear what? Dear where? I watched Dear Santa, and it is a must-watch on my list. I'm just going to start that from the beginning. This is about the U.S. Postal Service's Operation Santa, where people send letters to Santa Claus, and other people answer those letters. This was so inspiring. It was great knowing about the people and their stories and their reasons for answering letters, but then it was also great to understand what people were asking for. To see a kid just say, I want something for my mom. To see one kid saying, I just want a limo ride. I cried so much that this is required watching. My letter to Santa is this. Dear Santa, could you please make sure everybody watches this so maybe they have more kindness and more empathy? I love this film. And that's what I gotta say. What say you, Sean?
No, it's an overall heartwarming, make you feel good holiday film. I mean, it's solid. It's not gonna get any points on creativity or being innovative, but man, this is what you want to sit down on the couch and watch during the holiday. It's perfect for that. It's one of those movies that I think we'll be watching for a long time to come. It just worked. Some movies just work.
It just works, Jonita.
It just worked.
I think it needs to be on the watch list. I liked it. I think that this one and Jingle Jangle are family. You can get the family to sit down and watch this one.
Jingle Jangle's a classic, man. Jingle Jangle's another one of those movies that critics just don't. I mean, the below the line work in Jingle Jangle. Are you serious?
Yeah.
The costume, the art direction.
Every part of it.
This is my favorite David Talbot movie, by the way. When we talk about Jingle Jangle, he took it.
Reggie, that's like saying you're the tallest midget, though.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
This,
Wow.
but this was his best work. When you look at the animation, you look
But
at
look,
the
he
act.
also got the money to do it for
He
once.
got the money.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yeah, like
Thank
he didn't have
you.
to. He didn't have to
He
cut
got the
Kane.
money.
Yes.
Netflix cut the check.
All right, but I gotta steer it back. I gotta steer it back to Dear Santa, and you got the last word on this, Katya.
Listen, we've been through a lot this year, and I know we fed up, tore up, and we just over it. But this reminds you of your blessings. You know what I mean? When the woman asked for a couch, and I was like, she's getting a couch. I was right. I was like, yay! You know, Mama's getting a
Watching
couch.
Oprah back
I
in the
was
day.
like, get her the couch, because she was, and she, you know what I really loved about it is she didn't say, I want a leather couch. She said, I want a couch. And they came through with the couch. Mama said, I need a crib. She got the crib. My boy said he wanted to ball out in the limo. He balled out in the limo. Like,
Girl.
it really, and also it made me want to say is, I want to be a part of it. I want to do my part in it. And it was also one of my favorite interviews that I did this year. Once in a while, it's good to see something that restores your faith in humanity, because Lord knows
It
this
really
year
is.
made us all look like I'm over it.
Hey, and so we got to be over this because we're a little over on time on our movies. We talked about 5 today, which normally we don't, but I really appreciate you guys. Man, it was
We actually talked about 10 because we got all 5 of the.
You're right. All right, correction. All right, so now we're gonna switch to the news of the day, and
Oh Lord!
And there's some news. And the first
Let him go first.
The first, huh?
Make him go first on this one. If I know what it is. He's about to tell us who to blame is for this.
The first one.
Sean.
Go ahead. What you think it is? You bring it in. Whichever one you
Warner
want to talk
Brothers.
about.
HBO Max, Warner Brothers. Come on.
That's the first one I was gonna talk about. Hey Sean, you said that this was gonna be the way in which we were going to kind of the industry was gonna kind of pivot. You talked about this, and people are shaking their heads. Studios, the theaters are shivering and scared. This is a major development that they would show their full slate of 2001 on HBO Max.
But okay, number one, I'm not sympathetic for movie theater owners because they saw this coming. This day and date thing has been on the horizon for 10 years. 10 years. The pandemic just sped everything up. I mean, come on. The theatrical experience was in decline before the pandemic. Now it's just like at a free fall. And they saw this coming. They told companies like AMC and Regal, you guys have got to get into the streaming game so you have multiple platforms of revenue because this is coming. The technology has allowed people to watch these movies at home. Technology has allowed the streamers to deliver more content. People are tired of the theatrical experience, getting your seat kicked, people turning on their phone in the middle of the movie, people not understanding the definition of a babysitter. It was all headed this direction anyway.
Wow.
Plus, behind closed doors, any CEO who's running a major company knows first and second quarter are already blown out no matter how fast they get this vaccine. We're not getting back to real life in 2021. So
I'm not feeling him. I am not feeling Sean. He has no sympathy.
No, you know what? Here's the thing is, and I don't want to kick a man while he's down, but Warner Brothers gave in to ego, right? And they played the hand. They sat at the big boys table in Vegas and they bet the house, and the house crumbled.
And they
because
lost.
Of one person inflexibility. You cannot tell me if that experiment had worked, that is the reason why they went this way.
And so tell our audience what you're talking about.
I mean, if Tenet had done what they wanted it to do, they wouldn't be doing this. And for all the people that do want to play Russian roulette, it's still going to come to a theater if your theater is open. But for other people that don't want to do it, and I think, and I'm sorry not to cut you off, but I just feel like what Sean said is 100% correct. The theaters now have to earn the business back. And it can't just be what's on the screen. It shouldn't have taken a pandemic for you to start deep cleaning. I'm just saying, some of these theaters have been dirty from the door. It shouldn't have taken a pandemic for you to say, this food quality needs to be better. It shouldn't have taken that pandemic for you to say, you know what? There are working class families that no longer can afford to come to the movies. How can we come up with a family movie night? Right? My theater does it.
You've got the ideas of the pop-ups too that's been happening. You've got independent people who have been doing the pop-ups. That should have been, I mean, that happened, started during the pandemic. The theaters were not doing it. You've got this space. Even outside your building, you could have been showing those movies out there.
But they refused
I mean, and I know they've done it. I went to a pop-up in Chicago, Lincoln Yards. I mean, it was safe. You were in your car. You know, you can have food delivered. I mean, it's everything.
Walmart did pop-ups.
I mean,
Walmart opened 160 stores and did pop-ups. And again, my Oaks movie theater has a huge parking lot and could have balled out. Guess what happened? A competitor came in, took the lot across the street from the movie theater and did drive-in movies.
Wow.
They should have been embarrassed.
Go ahead, Sean.
I mean, I think it's laziness. They're not used to earning the money themselves.
It's not even that. It's like what Kathy said. It's like they weren't doing anything to improve the theatrical experience before the pandemic hit. Like, people have been complaining that the experience was on a decline, the food was on a decline. Like, and let's make no mistake about this, that the exhibitors, they aren't in the business of showing movies. They're in the business of selling food and concessions. So they already knew they were at the mercy of the studios anyway. And the studios are like, look, we need to get our money from streaming because the future streaming. This is a move to build up their HBO Max subscription base. Because they want to collect a monthly fee from millions of people rather than pick and choose what movie you may or may not see at the movie theater and know that you got that automatic payment coming every month. They want 12 automatic payments as opposed to you picking and choosing which movie you're going to go see. And the movies are still going to be there anyway. It's just a 30-day window. It's a win for the consumer, a loser for theater chains.
Well, go ahead, Jonita. But I think that it's also obviously a win for HBO Max. They want to compete with Disney. And they have to compete with Disney. And these quality movies will, there's no doubt about it, going to increase their subscription.
And you can also blame a little bit of this on Superman, Batman, and Aquaman. Because if Warner Brothers' slate of Justice League movies would have been better, they would have been in a better position like Disney, who succeeded with the Marvel brand, and they did not succeed with the DC brand. So they're playing catch up. This is all all of this goes back 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Warner Brothers is playing catch up in a lot of different directions, and that's what this is all about.
And then just looking ahead to the future, I mean, this vaccine, I just did a story about this vaccine. Everybody's like happy we got the vaccine, we can go back outside. No, I ain't going back outside for another year. The average person is not going to get the vaccine till late spring or summer. The average able-bodied, well person who's if you're not an essential worker, you're healthy, you're able-bodied, you're not seeing a vaccine till probably spring. Summer. And even then you got to wait till there's this herd immunity built up, everybody else get the vaccine, and then so we can go out and so we're not going to have things back to normal, safe enough to where people like Katia feel like she can go out and see movies. I'm
with Sean though, and then we haven't even gotten into other people acting right. My nerves, no. The moment you decide you want to act funny, it's going to be a problem for me, because therefore my butt needs to be right where it is.
Well, yeah, in the house. Know that 2020, and I keep telling, I know people don't want to hear this, but 2021 it's another lost year. You're not going to be able to build up consumer confidence in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. It's going to take a couple of years, and they know this, and they know that box office they were getting before the pandemic happened is not coming back anytime soon. They got to find the money where it's at.
5 years.
Streaming.
It's going to be 2025.
Here's my, we're not going to be able to get through all the issues I had on the slate today, but here's my question about this. What are they doing with HBO Max? HBO Max, they're not even going to charge extra, like how Disney did with a couple of films. I'm amazed actually, because
Disney's not even, but Disney stopped that too, because Soul, they're not charging extra for Pixar's Soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
people
bust.
really
That
pushed
was a
back on
bust.
that one.
That was a
Yeah,
bust.
but I also feel like, but don't be surprised. Netflix is raising their prices, as they should,
They
Mhm.
should.
and and HBO Max as soon as they need that subscription
Mhm.
because people were like, people are still confused. What's the difference between HBO Max and HBO Go? They need to do a better job explaining that
Right.
because people are like, why do I got to pay this when they got that? Speaking of marketing, so and here's a $24 million question since we're talking about it. All right, Warner Brothers, Disney, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu. Who's got next? Who's getting their ducks in a row to put themselves in a position to win? Because these other freaking people, if they're thinking we come into the movie theater for their stuff when we can sit at home and see all this other quality stuff, what do you think they're gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, are they gonna get it together?
NBC Universal, the Peacock.
And you know what, as a black person, it's hard for me to have sympathy for theater chain owners where they really avoided building new theaters in areas that were predominantly black and brown. I cannot shed any tears for them.
Well,
I can't do it. I
well,
cannot do that.
Well,
I cannot do that, Reggie. It's bad.
I feel you. I feel you.
You get a map.
I feel you, and I think that actually, I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point. We're African American critics. For you not to mention that, that would have been terrible that you didn't mention that.
I cannot, and I will not shed a tear for AMC.
Yeah, and so, but talking about shedding a tear, let's go over to James Corden, Corden with a gay face. What have you? What? Come on, guys.
This is Kathy's department.
No, here's my thing. I saw Prom on Broadway on a fluke, right? Supposed to see something else, ended up seeing that, and I'm so glad that it's a fun show. The character of Barry is not the problem here, people. That is the character. He's a flamboyant gay guy. They exist. I know some people feel like they're uncomfortable, but that's the character. Go Google it on YouTube, put in Prom, the musical, Broadway. You will see that's the guy. The problem that I have in 2020 that you got a straight guy to do it.
That's what I think the problem is.
Justice.
That has to be the problem.
You should have gotten the guy who originated the role on Broadway to play it because he already had it in his bones. For the love of God, you got two leads in this movie that come from musical theater and that are out gay women. You got that part right. So therefore it wasn't weird. It was organic. But then I get it because you thought he's the name, you got a following, but that fell flat. You needed to get the guy that we fell in love with. He's like the heart of the musical.
I feel you.
I'm confused why we can't you can't find a gay guy?
I feel you, right? I do feel you.
I thought he was gay.
Right. So I feel you.
He's got a whole family.
I feel you. But here's my problem. Katya.
I hate you.
But here's my problem, Katya. Are we saying that only gay people can play gay people, only straight people can play straight people, only black people can play black people? Because when you start to do that, you do go down a slippery slope. The question is, did Corden do a good job in this role? Because the role is a flamboyant gay person. There are flamboyant gay people. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, but they didn't need him. You had Streep and Kidman, and you had the two leads. I mean, you had your power right there. Why did they need him? That's the thing. Why did they need him? I mean, you could have used somebody else. I mean, and not every story that's supposed to be a gay male character needs to be played by a gay man, but you still have to think about all the other parts of this too. Why did you need him to be in this position? I mean, he didn't bring any much more than anybody else did that was on that.
Brooks Ashkerman. I'm sorry.
And they filmed it in Atlanta.
Here we go. So I want to get in one more issue.
Okay.
I want to get in one more issue before we get out of here. There's two movies.
John is on pause.
I thought he was gay though, so now I gotta go back and rewatch it.
No, he's got a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah, like that means something.
I didn't think he was that bad though. I mean, I didn't think he was that bad though.
Here's the problem, right, with these things, and I do it to myself too. When you've seen it, first of all, people on Broadway sing way better. I don't care what anybody says. I love Meryl Streep, but this is what they do.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So you always have
that's
that when
true.
you get like regular people singing stuff, and people get mad at me when I said this is why Chicago don't work for me, because I've seen it way better done. And then you're just like, why? I agree with you. The musical works. The musical is a hit. We didn't need to remix it by you have your star power. Get the people that know how to do this work.
I'm tired
That's my
of
thing.
Meryl
He's
Streep.
doing chorus.
Yeah, see, that's my problem. Is that we talking about Corden, but to me, Corden can sing. Hey, I think I just don't. I'm not buying the backlash on him. But Meryl Streep, come on, you know that there's somebody who can sing better than that. You know that there's somebody else who could take that role and do.
And same thing with Nicole Kidman. I mean, I love Nicole, but she's playing a chorus girl. Nicole, ain't nobody believing that you can kick high step too. That you being a chorus, you have the height and you have the legs, but you got the dance moves.
Nobody.
Well, I wanted
chorus girls part. I mean, that's about it. But
I just need Meryl Streep to go on vacation. Can she don't want to go on vacation? Can we go like at least 2 years ago?
Urban, it's not like they're struggling for money. Like he made good money.
Man,
like,
jeez, I'm tired of Meryl Streep.
Well, I know y'all got everybody got to go make their money. And we're at the end. I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about, but
Meryl Streep's the female Tom Hanks.
I'm not gonna say nothing about that.
I know what Sean thinks of the new Tom Hanks movie because I already could tell. I saw that clip and all I heard was Sean going like,
"That little girl was way better."
We've been there. Look, guys. I'm Reggie Ponder. This is the Real Critic Roundtable, where Black critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. We had all that today. We talked about a lot of stuff. I'm glad you guys joined us. Thank you, Jonita. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, Katya.
I need to get a new gaydar from Amazon. My gaydar is off.
We out, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.